If there was an epidemic of chest pain where numbers were rising significantly, would you want to know? Critically, would you want to know why? Well, guess what? We have got some unbelievable statistics out of New Zealand. Now, there's a reason why New Zealand is so important. New Zealand is critical because they were one of the few places in the world, similar to Australia, where they locked down before the pandemic hit. What they then did is that they had a very strict lockdown and then they vaccinated as much of the population as they could, and then they let it go for when Omicron came. The reason this is important is because it's one of the few places where we can observe what happens with just the vaccine and not COVID. And then critically, what happens when they are exposed to COVID. Really valuable scientific study. Sadly, they don't like people to know this information. And luckily for us, we have people across the world who will ask the hard questions. And what I'll be sharing with you just shortly, and this has just come out, is a really valuable document from the 19th of September 2024, and Ali Cook from New Zealand put in the official request freedom of information, which he got an answer from the 28th of August, and we're going to be able to take a look at that. So this is really, really important information, right on the cutting edge. And then I'm going to look at some of the ambulance calls that were occurring in New Zealand. Before I start, just a reminder about our upcoming health and wellness program. This is session 3. Join us. We always talk about interesting stuff, and I usually try and get the questions beforehand so that I can try and answer their specific questions. Join us in this, register for it. It's on a Thursday, and we will be able to look in more detail at what is happening there. But let's get back to this question about chest pain. So, as I said, New Zealand had done an unusual pattern with regards to what it is that they did. And I got this here from the Twitter account of Kiwi Ali. I think she's called herself. You can see it here, Kiwi Ali. So, if you're on Twitter, you can go and look at that. And this is what she shared with us the statistics: 2020 total deaths. This is in New Zealand, 32,613. You can see this block here. She's marked here, vaccine rollout about here. 2021 total deaths 34,932. So it was higher than 2020. Now they had lockdown here, so I guess you could see that there was that could be part of it. And they started to open up. I'm not sure what Super Saturday is. By this point, they started to give the first booster. So total deaths were rising, and then they released it with regards to Omicron in 2022. And you see total deaths here went up to 38,574. So the question is, did the vaccine actually protect them? They would argue that if they hadn't done this, their surge would have been much, much worse. That's an assumption, not necessarily fact. And then you can see in 2023, still the deaths are 34,000, still higher than 2021. And in 2024, this is only half of the year, they are still riding high numbers of deaths. So this is the excess deaths pattern that we're seeing from across the world. So these are the things that we're seeing. And as I said, New Zealand is a unique case because of what happened with their population. And this is likely to be relevant. The other thing that they spoke about, what she got, was about chest pain. And if you can see here, this is showing you people under 40 presenting to emergency departments with chest pain in New Zealand. So, according to their response in 2024, the number is extrapolated. So, that's not an accurate number for 2024, but you can see here 2019, 2020, less than 5,000. 2021, it now jumps to almost 13,000. 2022, over 20,000. 2023, 20,000. And based on the numbers, they're extrapolating, but we can't be certain. So half of the year is gone. So they're estimating the other half of the year. This could be over 25,000 under 40 having chest pain. That is absolutely abnormal, definitely an epidemic. The question is, what's the mechanism? Why would it be happening? And this leads me to a really important course that I want you to think about doing. Maybe I haven't got the title exciting enough, but this is a really, really important course. And this is all about vaccine induced abnormal heart physiology. The link is in the description. And I'm going to show you just a few slides from it, just to explain to you why I did it in the first place and why I think this is really, really important. So it was really down to the fact that when you have good scientists who are looking for answers, they oftentimes look at patterns that you wouldn't think of. So these scientists were looking at PET scans, positron emission tomography. It's usually used in cancer, where we're looking at glucose uptake in cells because cancer cells tend to use a lot of glucose. But they used it to compare what happens after vaccination in the heart of somebody in terms of glucose uptake. And what they found was this. And you can see from this image here. So the paper is actually the assessment of myocardial 18F FDG uptake in the PET scan in asymptomatic, vaccinated and unvaccinated people. And you can see here, it's black when there is high uptake. That's the brain. All right. So it's always a lot of glucose being used in the brain. So it's always very dark. Now, what's interesting is that in the unvaccinated cohort, the heart doesn't normally use glucose too much. It uses mainly fat. And so you can see here, the heart is just light gray. So it does use some, but not a lot. Down here are the kidneys, which are using much more. So that's showing up quite dark. This is an 80-year-old unvaccinated male, and you can barely see the heart right here because it's not using a lot of glucose. But look at this 38-year-old male. Wow. This is very unusual. What is the mechanism of the switch of the heart from using fat to glucose? What does it mean? This is a 72-year-old male, and you can see again that they had high glucose uptake in the heart muscle. It's not normal that this happens, and this is why I focused on it. So I did a whole course looking at multiple possible reasons why this could occur, and it went on for up to 6 months. I think that it started to resolve after that, but it suggests that something is happening in the heart that we don't fully understand. One of the thoughts could be something like myocarditis with inflammation, but we don't know for certain. But part of what I cover in that presentation is I go through all of the potential other mechanisms that could be linked to that. Now, before I go on this, I want to show you as well the information that she got on the 19th of September. Here we have it here. This is the 19th of September, 2024. Official information. So the question was the number of people under the age of 40 presenting to emergency departments throughout New Zealand with chest pain or heart issues, 27 to 2024. And you can see here, these were the numbers. This was half of the year, 14,000 people already in 2024 with chest pain being admitted into hospital, and it was peaking in 2022, 2023. So 2024 is expected to be even higher than 2022 and 2023. The other question that they had looked at down here is that they looked at the number of ambulance arrivals in emergency departments 2017 to 2024. And you can see here in 2017, it was 444,000, stable going through to 2019. Then it jumps in 2021, 455, 473 in 2022, 492 in 2023. And as of July, it was already 291,000. So again, we can see this ambulance emergency trend occurring in New Zealand. I expect the same pattern in other parts of the world. Look at this number of confirmed cases of pericarditis in under 40s. 2017 to 2024, you can see 93 in 2017, 113 in 23-24, 116. So you can see these are all significant numbers. And this is the bit that is very difficult to discount. I think that what is happening is that people don't want to acknowledge what is blatantly obvious to the population. The big question is why? And the longer that this goes on, the more difficult it is for people to have objective discussions, because at the moment I can tell you, I'll show you my favorite slide here. This is what it feels like. What's going on? Everybody is baffled. They have no idea. That huge elephant is sitting there, and nobody wants to consider if he could be the reason that the coach is sinking. It's just absolutely remarkable. And so part of the problem is that this issue is not going away, and everything is pointing to the fact that we need to have this investigated and investigated thoroughly. My point has always been that when you have a combination of ongoing circulating infection with immune priming, that's a recipe for disaster. That's the bit that I've been talking about for the longest while as being the COVID storm. This, I think, is pretty serious in terms of what's happening. This is what I'm predicting, where you have both sides of the puzzle. In the middle is going to be an explosion. This is what I think is happening. It's just that it doesn't happen suddenly. It's a gradual process, and therefore people can easily ignore it. We have challenging times to go, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. At least New Zealand is going into their summer period. But for the Northern Hemisphere, who haven't been looking at this properly, we have got difficult times ahead. We need to all prepare. Follow along in the description for the links. I look forward to being able to share more information with you in the near future. Remember, take a look at this course, the vaccine-induced abnormal heart physiology. It's really fascinating. And please also remember to register for our session 3 coming up shortly. Have a great evening until we talk again.